Good morning, all. I kind of just wanted to come on and talk about my Scentsy story with you guys. I sound totally awful, but it is what it is. So I kind of just wanted to share it to see if it'll inspire you guys to share your Scentsy story. Because we have a $25 join special right now, and we need to be doing it more often and sharing. So I'm going to share my why and my Scentsy story because many of you guys are new and you guys don't know it. And maybe it'll inspire you to share it. I'm going to actually go live today and share it on my regular page to see and what Scentsy has done for me. And yeah, because I'm growing out of my comfort zone and this is super nerve-wracking for me. So I started, as many of you guys know, in 2018. I was just graduating college with my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and I was fell in love with the product I bought from my sponsor and I was like, I really want to buy some more, and she's like, well, why don't you just join? And I was like, no, I don't have the time. I'm going into the police academy. I don't know how to sell. I just don't know how to do any of this. And she's like, well, you don't really just have to know how to sell. You just fall in love. She didn't push me. So she's like, okay, no problem. So I was getting ready to order more. And I thought about it and I was like, I think I'm just going to join. I'm not going to join to sell. I'm not going to join to do any of that. I'm just going to join to make money off my own stuff because I fell in love with the stuff and I wanted the entire Harvest collection. So it was September. And at that time, the Harvest collection just released and I was totally obsessed with all the things. So I made the decision. I didn't even talk to Chris. I just joined. I was like, oh, send me. I bought the $99 kit. I literally had $100 on my credit card. And I was like, I'm going to put this on my credit card and I'm just going to join. I remember on the way home, I was working my full-time job. And at the time I was doing police interviews with full panels of 6 to 7 chiefs, sergeants, lieutenants, all those things, right? Super nerve-wracking. And I was like, I'm just going to join to make money off my own stuff. So she's like, okay. So I went home. I called Chris. I remember exactly where I was. And I was like, I just did something. And he's like, what did you do? And I was like, I just joined Scentsy. And he's like, what the hell is that? I'm like, oh, it's all things smell good. It's going to be great. So I went home. I started my process and she's like, just do a launch party and so you can get some free stuff. And I told her multiple times, I just want to get paid off my own stuff. She's like, okay. So I went home, told my grandparents, and I was like, I'm going to have a launch party. So I invited all of my closest friends and family. My sister invited some of her friends for me and her boyfriend's or husband at the time now, family, and I had a party. I broke out in hives before I did my first live. And I'm like, I can't do this. This is not going to happen. I'm super nervous and I'm freaking panicking. So I went live on my Facebook page. I set up an online event. I set up a launch party and most of my closest friends and family came. Not a lot of people bought from me and I did it. And I was like, okay, this is nice. So my first interview came up for the police department and I remember I was literally terrified. And they told me, they're like, well, you passed the interview, but you need to go to a self-defense class. And I'm like, okay, this is weird, but okay. And they're like, and we'll call us in 6 months and we'll put you through again. And I was like, okay. So I remember I went to a second interview with the police department and they were extremely brutal. And I passed the interview and I sat down with the background investigator and he's like, so let's go through your Facebook. And I remember pulling up things about Scentsy and he's like, what is this? And why are you posting this? And he made fun of me. And I was like, well, this is my, my side business that I kind of started and I absolutely love it. And, I started something new. And then that weekend I had my launch party and I sold $2,000 in my launch party by just my friends and family. So I knew that this was something I wanted to do, that I fell in love with and people were falling in love with it. And I booked 4 parties off of my launch party. So I was like, okay, this could become something. But I didn't want to sponsor. I didn't want to grow a team. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to party and get free stuff and help people get some free stuff. So I hit Shooting Star and I hit my first promotion, which was certified. And I was on my way to hit Sensational Start Level 1. And I remember working so hard to get the PRV because it's 6,000 PRV for Sensational Start Level 3. And I was like, I'm going to earn this. I am a go-getter. I want to earn this. I have never had something in my life where, other than school, where I was like, I think that's why I liked school so much, because it was challenging for me and I could get good grades and stuff like that. So I'm like, I want more. So I pushed, and I remember Katie telling me, well, you need to sponsor in order to kind of hit it. It'll be easier. And I was like, I'm not sponsoring. I don't know how. And there was the incentive going on. And at that time, it was a trip to Marco Island at the JW Marriott, and it was paid for. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna kind of try to earn this. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna earn it. So you had to sponsor somebody. And it was based off PRV and sponsoring, like, I think one person. So I reached out to a girl I went to online high school with, and I was like, hey, have you ever thought about doing this? And she started seeing my post, and she's like, oh, I think I'm gonna join. I was like, okay. So I got her active. I think at the time you needed like a certain amount of PRV and one active person. This was in 2018. So I was like, okay. So she joined, she had active, and I think she had certified right away. And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Walked her through a launch party. And I was like, I think I can do this. And I hit lead consultant. And I was so excited because I was like, oh my God, I did something for myself. I did it. So I continued to sponsor and I continued to grow. And I just literally joined at this point to earn trips for Chris and I for free. And I was like, I'm just gonna do this for free, and I'm just gonna earn a trip for me. And I'm gonna do it for extra money so that we can travel, because we were traveling a lot at the time and we were both working full time. Like, I'm gonna do this. So I sponsored again, and I hit Star Consultant. And I was like, okay, I can get the hang of this. This is by like December, and the trip was in June or something. So she's like, okay, you got to keep sponsoring. And I'm like, I don't know how to grow a team. I don't know how to be a leader. And this really helped me open up and change my perspective on growing a team, because I was like, if I can earn this and I could work hard at this, I can continue to make extra money for us to travel, and then we could do more things. So in 2018, that's what happened. And I remember getting the email that I earned Marco Island. And I was like, oh my God, like I earned a trip, like holy crap. And I remember like sitting there, and I told Chris, I'm like, I just earned a trip that would cost us like $4,000 to stay at a hotel. And I just earned it for free. And it was a $2,000 buy-in for him. And at this time, I was doing a third interview with another police department. And I decided to like change my mind. I was like, I don't want to be a police officer. Meanwhile, I already went to college for criminal justice. I did an internship with the police department. I was doing ride-alongs with the police department. And like, this helped me grow by going live and doing challenges. And that Katie pushed me to be able to present a paper in front of an entire department of like body cameras. Okay, so this is where I'm going with this, with like public speaking and talking to people. So I opened up more. Then I earned the trip to Marco, and I was like, I'm gonna earn every trip I can to get us to go. Like, I want to travel with Scentsy, and once you travel Scentsy, you never want to travel non-Scentsy again. So in June, before that, I think May, I hit Superstar Consultant, and I was like, holy crap. Like, I remember going in June, and we went on this trip, and all these people are there with Scentsy, and we bought Chris's ticket in, and I was like, we're not going to pay for you ever again. We're going to do this. And I started to like grow, and I was like, oh my God, like I can do this. I went on another interview, not police related, and I like killed my interview, did great, didn't get it, was like, okay, no problem, started interviewing at different jobs. Like, this gave me the courage to step out. Well, we went on Marco Island. I met like all of my good friends, and they're like, you're going to be a director. I guarantee it. And I was like, no, I'm not going to be a director. Like, there's no way. I can't sponsor. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to lead. So I became a director. So I came home from Marco, and I set a plan. And I remember Stacy was there, and I was like, she's like, you've got to go to SFR. And I'm like, I'm not going to SFR. Like, I can't afford it. I just came back from Marco. Like, I'm not doing it. I don't have time off with work. I'm not going to go. And I remember 2 weeks before SFR, it was in July, they're like, yeah, we're all going to book a room and go. And I was like, there's no way. And at the time I was friends with another girl in Scentsy. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to go. And I asked Chris, and Chris was like, you should go. And I was like, okay. So it was in Texas, Austin, Texas. It was my first SFR. And I scraped up the money to be able to go. I was making $600 paychecks on top of my regular pay at work. And I was like, I'm going to go. I'm going to do this. So he paid for my flight to go. And I went. I did not know anybody at SFR. I had flown to Raleigh to hang out with my sponsor and like a few of the girls in February. And then I went on to Marco in June. And then I went to SFR. And I went to SFR and I did not know anyone. I've never flown across the country by myself. Hi, Kelly. Like, I've never done any of this stuff, okay? This is literally out of my comfort zone. When I flew to Raleigh, that was the first time ever I flew by myself, other than going to my parents. Like, I've never flown by myself. And I never flown and stayed at a hotel with random people. Like, never in my life. I would never do that. So I did it. And hi, Tori. I did it. And I was like, okay. So I showed up in Austin. It was the first time away from Chris. I was like super nervous. And I had a freaking blast at SFR. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to earn every trip. I'm going to earn all promotions. I'm going to do this. So I came back from SFR. And a month later, I hit director. And I feel like that was the biggest thing because leaders are born at events. And it was huge to me that I did this. And everyone had said like at Marco, like, you're gonna hit director soon. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna hit director. Like, there's no freaking way. I have a team of like 10 people. I don't even know what I'm doing. And they're like, you're gonna do it. You have leadership in you. You're gonna do it. And I'm like, no. You have to believe in yourself in this business to motivate yourself, to see what others see and not think anything less of what it is, okay? You are a leader, you are strong, you are motivational, you are everything that you say you are not, okay? And I am living proof of that because before Scentsy, I would never go on an interview. I literally was shaking and broke out in hives on all 3 interviews I did previously to this. Like, I'm telling you, you are widely capable of what you set your mind to. So I went to SFR, had a blast, hit director that September. I promoted to director in less than 2 years. I think it was a year. I promoted to director. Yes, it was my 1-year anniversary of Scentsy, and I already hit director. You can do the hard things if you put the work into it. I did not want to sponsor, and I sponsored. And look at us now. I did the things that I was scared to do to grow. I still am nervous. I was challenged today by Katie, my sponsor, to reach out to 5 people about joining. I hate doing that. It freaks me out, but I did it. Tori Pelotti on our team right now, reached out to her. She's one of my best customers. I've reached out to her before like twice. Finally did it. Like, you've got to do hard things in this business to grow and to make the most out of it. So around that time, I got an email. We were shooting to go to Canada, and I was like, that was like the top tier trip, and like there was a cruise after it was a second tier, and it was top 50, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna hit top 50, like there's no way. So I didn't hit it, and I came in like from the second trip for 2 I earned for Chris and I, and I remember like getting the finalized emails when everyone first picked, because they start by top tier. So everybody picked it. And I was like, I'm not going to earn Canada. It's okay. Like, I'm good. I got an email saying, congratulations, you earned top 50 to Victoria, Canada. And I remember sitting at a gas station, pumping gas, reading an email, and I was like, oh my God, like, we're going to Canada. And I remember like, I'm gonna cry. I remember bawling, and I was like, this isn't real life. Like, I'm not gonna earn stuff for free. I don't know what I'm doing. And I earned it. And I was like, holy crap. So I texted my friend Stacey, I was like, we're going to Canada. Like, we are freaking going to Canada. And so we went to Canada, and that's how I met my friend Kelly and got really close with her, another director. And I met so many people, and Chris and I did it. And this trip was super short. Like, it was like 4 days. And I'm like, holy crap. Like, we're in Canada with Scentsy for free. And we stayed at this huge, nice old hotel. And I remember going on a cruise with my family, and I'm like, I really like this hotel. I hope one day we stay here. And it was beautiful, and we had tea, and it was amazing. And I was like, we're going to earn every top trip that we can. And we're going to work hard, and I'm going to grow my team, and I'm going to do the things. And my why changed. My why changed from traveling. Chris and I got engaged, and it was from paying for our wedding to I want to be able to do this and stay home with my babies when I'm older. So fast forward, we got married, and then right before our wedding, we were working on earning a top 75 trip to Amsterdam. And I was like, we're going to Amsterdam. Like, we are supposed to travel to Europe for our wedding, for our honeymoon, but we're going to go to Amsterdam. And I remember in January, I was on a retreat that I've never done. I went away to Virginia, and I was like, a director retreat. And I was like, I worked up until 12 o'clock that night to earn my spot for Amsterdam. And I was like, I'm going to earn this trip. This trip is mine. I'm going to earn this trip. And I remember I hit like just what I needed to hit the top 75 to be, to go to Amsterdam. And I remember texting Chris at like 12 o'clock at night, and I was like laying in bed next to freaking my friend Stacy, and I was like, I just earned this freaking trip. She's like, no way. I'm like, yeah, I earned this freaking trip. We're going to Amsterdam, and I earned it, all expenses paid for Chris and I. And the trip came around, and I was super excited. And 2 weeks before the trip, COVID hit, so we didn't get to go, and we did a buyout instead. So we saved the money, we got married, and then there was another trip to Cabo for a leaders retreat in Cabo that Scentsy puts on, and I earned that for free. And I was like, I just remember I hit right before my wedding, I was like, I'm going to do more in this business so that I can be able to stay home with my one-day babies. Like, I'm going to try to do everything I can to be able to stay home. And I did it. And I was like, I'm going to hit Star Director. And I remember like pushing so hard to hit it. And I'm like, I'm going to do this because I'm going to grow from me. This is all about me. I'm going to continue to grow. I hated my job working full time I was working with my family, and I was like, this is really hard for me. I continued to party and have more effective in my business when I was working a full-time job. So I was able to work more efficiently working full-time because I would come home and I would literally work from 6 o'clock to like 10 or 11 o'clock working my Scentsy business. Follow-ups, partying. I would do home parties on Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. Like, I was partying like crazy. And then COVID hit, and I stopped partying so much. And I had to revert to doing parties online. And I was literally so pissed because I'm like, I love home parties. I love what I'm doing. And I remember I was like, I'm going to hit Star Director. And I hit Star Director my third year. No, last year was my third year in Scentsy. I hit Star Director. And I remember it was my like 2 days after my Scentsy anniversary. And I'm like, I just hit Star Director. And I was like, holy crap. Like, I'm one away from the top in this business in 3 years. I'm like, I put my head down and I worked hard, and I worked with our team, and I worked personally doing parties. And I'm like, now I look back and I'm like, holy crap, I've done all this in like almost 5 years. So fast forward, Chris and I were trying to have a baby. And then it was somewhat long journey for us. And I remember I just went for an interview to leave my job with my grandparents because I did not have the confidence to leave for 10 years. And I finally had the confidence. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. It's toxic. I'm not going to be here anymore. And I was like, I have enough money with Scentsy coming in. Like, things are starting to open back up after COVID. So I went on a job interview for a neurologist's office, got the job the same day. And I remember it was my best friend's like gender reveal thing we were doing. And I felt like super sick, and I was like, something's up. Like, my body's like weird. I feel super bloated. Like, I've been eating clean. Like, what the hell's going on? It was February. And I remember paying for our Disney trip with Scentsy money because I'm like, I'm not going to use my own money to go places. Now we have Scentsy money. So our honeymoon was paid for by Scentsy. Disney was paid for by Scentsy, like all this. And I remember like having heartburn at Disney. And I'm like, oh, whatever. That next day, I had went to work. I took a pregnancy test and I was pregnant with my daughter. And everything changed. I was like, okay, I'm freaking pregnant now. I'm starting a new job in a week. What am I going to do? And I was like, I know I have 3 months maternity leave. I'm going to have to take disability. And I really don't want to go back to working because the neurologist's office was really toxic. It was a really toxic environment for me. And I remember telling Chris that I'm like, I have worked so hard in my Scentsy business that I want to be home all time. And at first I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. And he's like, okay. He's like, so we'll stick it out for a year. You work from home with the year with the baby and then go back to work. I was like, okay. So 1 year. So Harper was born. Some of the hardest moments in my life with postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression, all the things. Still worked my business. Still did not put my kid down. Worked really hard at it. Even the days where I didn't think, from when I put her to bed, from when I woke up, I get most work done when I put her to bed, like napping or bedtime. And that's how I've been able to stay home with her. And I work hard with her. So the goals you set that you think are just dreams turn into reality. I don't know why, but when you work so hard at something through like mountains and valleys, like we all talk about, it's true. So when you are literally doubting yourself and thinking you can't do it, you can do it. Like, you have to be your own motivation. So that's why I am so passionate about this business, because it's truly changed my life. There's a lot of hard days, guys. There's a lot that like I don't always talk about, or like financially struggling sometimes or whatever. But I know when I'm financially struggling, I pick that kid up and I don't stop. Like, I know that my goal is to be home with my kids eventually, and to be able to like have our own home and to be able to do these things. But I can't do that while just sitting on my butt at home doing nothing. So I use my kid to help me in my business. I use that as motivation to push me harder, to pick it up on days that are really hard, okay? On days that I'm like, I need to sponsor. I need to bless somebody else's life in this business. They're buying stuff from me. I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to change it. And I'm going to change their life, whether they just join off products or they can buy something new that something broke, or that they can go on vacation with their husband or significant other and not have to worry about using family money, okay? That's what you do when you talk about your story and talk about your why. So I said all that to say this, that motivation comes from within. So whether your why is to be whatever your why is, use your why to pick that kid up and continue to grow your business. There are many days I struggle to work my business. Like yesterday, trying to do my taxes, have my child at home, trying to do all these things. And I'm literally laser focused on one thing, because I can't focus on many different things at once some days. But I use this as an advantage because I don't want to go back to work full time. I would rather pick up subbing jobs here and there like I do, to be able to spend most of the time with my daughter until she's like 3, and then I can go back to working a part-time job or whatever I need to do. So that's why I wanted to share my why with you, because you never know how this business is going to impact you, how it's going to change your life, how or what something you're going to do in your business to shift it where it's like, okay, this is amazing. I'm going to continue to do this. I just want to earn free trips, or I just want to go spend a community with people, because this community is everything, and it's everything to me. And I know it can be everything to everyone else. And I know that there's a vast majority of people in here who need a community, who want to step out of their comfort zone, to be able to do interviews, to be able to do the things that they want to do. So I'm going to go share my why today on my Instagram and how Scentsy has blessed me. And this is kind of like helping you guys to share your why. So if you guys want to share your why on our team page, go ahead. Or if you want to just make a post. But today is all about things sharing. So let us all know why you joined Scentsy or how it's impacted you. If you're watching the replay, let me know you're watching the replay. And yeah, I just wanted to share my story with you guys. So I hope you guys have a blessed Tuesday. And thank you guys for tuning into my little TED Talk I like to call. And let's go kick this world's ass. Bye.